Hey guys, welcome back to the Blue and Black Rum Podcast. I'm Ryan from ColdSploitation.com, and I'm joined with my co-host Martin.
How's it going?
Doing pretty well, and we are celebrating in the month of April. Don't normally celebrate anything in the month of April, I don't think. Well, really, generally don't have any holidays. Yeah, sometimes I guess Easter, but we've talked about that on the previous episode that we did for Easter. We don't normally do Easter episodes either. But we're celebrating a different, it's not technically a holiday, although, maybe the federal government will want to at some point add it to the roster. But we're celebrating April 26th, which for probably laymen and most people don't really recognize that date at all. Like, it doesn't stand out to you. You say, what is that for April 26th?
You say, as Paul McCartney would say, it's just another day.
That's right. Is this someone's celebrity's birthday or something? Is it Sydney Sweeney's debut when she showed her boobies? Now the staple of that show Euphoria, where pretty much literally anything you hear about that show is just Sydney Sweeney showing her boobs. No, it's not that, but that's been going around as well. I don't know if you've seen that, the little ice cream photos, but
no, because I don't care at all about. Like I told you in private, I didn't find Sydney Sweeney to be attractive at all. So I don't care.
Just joking, but no. 426 is actually Alien Day. Has been so dubbed by the community. And there's so much so that there's even, like a subreddit and everything that's called, LV426 and all that. But effectively, it's been dubbed Alien Day because the mining planet, the colony, the asteroid or whatever you want to call it, that's part of Aliens, that is where they first find the alien life form, and the xenomorph hitches a ride on the ship. That's the name of it. That's what it's called. It's not named in Alien, as we'll talk about. This film does not mention a name at all. They just kind of because also, and it makes sense too, because in this movie, no one knows anything about it in this movie, right? Like it's just like they wake up and they're like, "Shit, where the fuck are we?" And they're going to a mining colony. But in later movies, and especially this is Alien is a lot like Star Wars. In that there's tons and tons of novelization offshoots of it and comic books and all kinds of this media about Alien that if you don't, you can just watch the regular movies and, you have effectively what is the Alien universe. But if you want to branch out, there's tons and hundreds of novelizations of expansion on anything that you can think of within the Alien universe. So, effectively, it's been, dubbed LV-426, also known as Acheron. I think they do name it Acheron at some point. It's like the official name of the mining colony. But
so what you're saying is that just like George Lucas and his letting the proliferation of media happen for his franchise, Ridley Scott, soon after this film and its success, let Alien Christmas become a thing.
I don't know if it's so much Ridley Scott or if it was James Cameron, because again, James Cameron is really the one in Aliens to actually, and I think we did that episode quite a while ago. And I don't know if we ever really actually discussed it, but back in the day, yeah, when we did the episode,
we didn't we do it for Bill Pullman's? We either did it for Bill Pullman's.
I think we did Twister for that.
So then it was for Alien Day back in like 2017 or something.
It's possible. I can't remember. Yeah. You have to go back and look. You're the historian, so you didn't do your job this time.
Fuck!
You weren't prepared.
Hold on. Oh God.
No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, no.
I take my tips on how to be prepared for the job. Like Cash Patel. Raise your hand if you think I'm prepared. That's right. You think I'm prepared. So,
but yeah, I think it was James Cameron who really, at least coined the idea that it was LV-426 and or Acheron. Now after that, I don't know if there was, discussion. I think probably what ended up happening after that is that LV-426 got a lot more backstory in things like the comic books, because in the 1980s, the Alien comic series was really big. It became a huge deal, so much so that it gets reprinted very often to this day. I just recently read the Aliens original comic book series, which was I think it was like a 4-issue comic run, which is actually really good. I do recommend checking that out if you're interested in the Alien series at all. And again, too, like as the series progressed, and we talked about in Aliens, becomes more of an action type series. In the comics, it really is situated more around science fiction and action, but I really enjoyed the Aliens comic that I did read, and this was, and the other confusing thing that you'll find, which is not just related to Aliens, but pretty much any series and any comics in general, is that it's really difficult to get into the series as a comic series, unless you really start from the beginning and you start from scratch. And then even starting from the beginning is difficult because it got renamed a couple times too. So like it's hard to figure out which series is which and which is the actual first issue in the series, and it gets really confusing.
I was say, what do you mean a comic is really, like getting invested into a comic series is beyond.
Difficult. Yeah. I do recommend checking out the series though. It's very fun. And like I said, the novelizations of it can really expand Alien as a whole, as much as you want it to. But with that said, getting back to where we are in this episode, we're doing Alien, the original Alien, the first Alien, from 1979.
That's what it's actually called.
Yeah,
it's called the first
Alien. That's it. Where it all began. And yeah, interestingly enough, like you said, we started with Aliens. We didn't do the first movie in the series. We started with Aliens. I don't know. Again, like you said, I don't really remember why or what prompted us to be like, let's do Aliens this time.
It was your suggestion.
Yeah, something like, maybe. I don't know.
I'm telling you, it was either for Alien Day. I think it was for Aliens Day. The one time that popped up on your radar, like some fan that you are.
Could be. Yeah. Whatever the case, we did Aliens back in the day, and you should go back and listen. And that's probably another one that we're going to have to pull out and do and repost, because it's been so long since we did that one. That's a very early episode. But a fun discussion. But as we discussed in that one, that movie is, and I think you said in the last, the outro of the last episode too, that movie is the action version, like the Terminator 2, to the horror element of Alien or the Terminator. And everybody has their preference. Do they like the more science fiction actiony elements, or do they like the more dreaded horror elements of a movie? And for me, as we'll get into, I like the more horror oriented elements to the film, and we'll talk about that as we get into Alien. But I joked with you. I said this was my first time watching the movie, but that's not true. I've seen it a few times. And
flew right over my head.
and perfectly though, I want to point out that I think I watched this back when I was probably, I want to say I was like 8 or 9. And I got to the chest bursting scene, and I was really impacted by that. I was really affected. Like, I do remember seeing that and being like completely shocked, because it kind of comes out, it comes out of nowhere for someone unsuspecting if you've never seen this movie. And it was like the perfect storm of a reaction for me. And I definitely was very, I think I watched it with my dad, and I had to pretend like I was not affected, but I was like, holy shit, but I had to play it cool because, otherwise my dad probably turned it off. And so what I did this time is I had my 6-year-old watch it so that he would be ready for it when he was 9 years old, so like get him ready for it now and get him steeled for it so he's not scared in the future. I'm joking, but yeah. So I like I said, I've seen this numerous times, but I want to say I was probably 8 or 9 when I first saw it, and it really leaves an impression on you. It's something that I think even now to this day, if you can imagine somebody coming in and really having no idea about Alien, I still think it can be really effective. And we'll talk about that. But how about you? What is your experience with Alien?
So update on the historical part. Yeah, we did it in 2017 April for Alien Day.
All right.
So-
Okay. Well, we've already done Alien Day once
Yeah.
before, but
Yeah,
cool.
Yeah, that's what I figured, but like you, I am more because I've said it a billion times, like I appreciate when there's the horror startup and then the action sequel. I appreciate the horror startup more often because there's usually more TLC with it, and then the action films become a spectacle. It's been a long time since I've seen Alien, and in fact, as I probably said, we're gonna send out Ryan's gonna repost the Aliens episode. So I mean, it's been damn near a decade. So we got, what I'm saying now could be totally wrong from what I said then. But like, I've never been really familiar with the Alien franchise. It's not something that was ever on TV when I was a kid that was like readily available. It wasn't something like my parents would watch. It was obviously in the zeitgeist. The xenomorph itself, is very, a popular figure. And as I was telling Ryan, one of my favorite memories as a kid is playing Conker's Bad Fur Day. The final boss is a xenomorph, and all the little 70 different references to the Alien films. It's cool. I didn't see Alien until college when I was just going through a list of films to check out, and bootleg and watch. But it wasn't one that I sat that I remembered, really think sticking with me with at the time.
Mm-hmm.
But I do remember liking it a lot. It's just, I just never as I said, it's just not something that's ever completely, resonated with me because it's not something that's ever really been there. Alien Resurrection and 3, never seen them except bits on TV back in the day when they used to be on UPN 24/7. Ridley falling into the lava like she's fucking in Terminator. T2, So for me, I was coming in again with fresh eyes. It's been damn near probably 15 years now. So with a new and better experience. So it was fun to get to do this again.
Yeah. Yeah, and I did want to also bring up really quick the fact that while I do think that this movie has a great effective score, it's used really effectively, sparingly. I do have
Jared Goldsmith, who did almost every other film in the 70s.
That's right. They said, Jerry, sorry, we got another one for you.
Luckily, they were like, it's gonna be minimal. You only gotta do it every,
exactly.
have a sting every now and then,
and not as much as you're used to, everyone. But I will say that I have a cassette tape of an alternative Alien soundtrack done by Mark Van Fleet, and it's very cool. And the intention is that you're supposed to listen to it instead of the the non-diegetic sound that's in the film, right? So anytime, you turn the tape on basically, and you start the movie at the same time, and it's effectively an alternative soundtrack that you watch and listen to. And it's very cool. I have not actually done made sure that I was doing it at the same time, but I've just listened to it outside of the movie, and it's a very cool soundtrack. It's a very nice alternative, still retains a lot of the same elements of how it sounds and kind of the same science fiction sort of space ambient that it has, but it's a nice alternative. So just shout out to Mark Van Fleet there. Something that he released, I think probably 10 or 15 years ago now, that he sent to me when I was reviewing noise a lot more than I am. And very cool. Just want to throw that out there because I think it's something that I think would be really cool for a new 4K release of the movie. Obviously they've been doing that previously, and James Cameron is a good example. While he didn't direct this movie, he's a good example of a director who has been doing a lot of revisionism in his movies. And not so much Ridley Scott as much, although, looking at Blade Runner and stuff, but, it'd be cool to see a 4K release where they incorporate something like that, where you can have and they do the work to do an isolated dialogue track and then stick that score in there as an alternative. I think that'd be pretty cool.
I was gonna say, so by revisionism, do you mean like the Lucas kind of bastardizing with the DVD releases of Star Wars with Han's head being like, "Mom," or like, is it like just like
more like
a different take on the experience?
Yeah, more like the experience itself, like what he believes is like the way to visually see the movie, like how the transfer is and stuff. He really likes the grain like stripped out for the most part. So you'll see like there's some abominations of of releases where the film is very waxy looking, and like it's almost like he's trying to re-digitalize the movie in a way that just does not make sense for these types of films that were released in the 70s and 80s. So you'll see like there's an example of Terminator specifically being like a travesty of a release because it's just so waxy
Clear.
And like the grain's been stripped and all stuff.
See, that's the thing. Like if they want to, like if like a director wants to go back and like do stuff like that, fine. But don't like, then say this is the definitive version and take away like if like again, like, that's something like always with like the Lucas stuff, which I mean, hindsight being 2020, it's over 20 years now. It's funny to think about, but it's like, well, if you're going to do that and you want to tinker with your project that's already been out in the world for consumption, fine. But don't take away, like, the original and say, like, no, this is, like, what I truly meant. It's like, cool. If you did, you would have done it back then.
Exactly. Yeah.
It was, the technology wasn't there? Okay, that's a reason why you didn't do it then. So, like, be proud of what you did then. If you feel like you have something to add to that art, in the future, you can add it, but don't take away from the previous, because let the audience decide,
right,
if that's, worthwhile or not. Because at the end of the day, you may be, like, your new cut may inspire people who are younger, like, oh, wow, like, look at how clear and beautiful the shot is. And the older people have their, crappy 360p. I'm not saying like that, but I mean, they'll at least have, what they're familiar with. So
yeah, I think that's true. Like the same way. I'm not saying that specifically about Alien, but just mentioning it. But like I was saying, I think Mark Van Fleet's they should really look into doing something like that. It'd be a nice new way to watch the movie. Just a new experience. So very cool. And I just want
what? It'd be great if they did like a concert and like they did that.
Yeah.
Like you get to watch the movie. It's like a drive-in. You get to watch the movie and then perform to it at the same time to add to it.
Yeah. What, for sure. Yeah. It'd be very cool. So shout out to that. Check that out if you can find it. It's very cool. Really, enjoyed that when I listened. So
while you get ready, prep our beer talk.
Yeah,
I'm gonna run to take a quick tinkle real quick. So
okay.
You get us set up.
I'll prep us for it while you and try to block out your peeing in the background. So, so we are drinking new beer today. Obviously one that we've had from a brewer in the past. Founders Brewing Company, of course. And we were talking about this off air, but Founders has become actually listed as a macro brewery at this point. It is a very large brewing company at this point. It has a wide spread. It's pretty much making it across the country at this point. And, it used to be a fairly, smaller run brewery with some very like limited releases. And now they really are just expanding for the most part. And, in this case, they're really making a lot of like flagship type beers, ones that they want to mass market across the country. And so the one that we have on the show today is a new one from them that is, again, one of their, like a line that they're trying to do as a more mass marketable approach to brewing. And it's called the Easy Drinking Beer. A very, obviously it
pulled right out of the Saranac playbook of, weekday beer.
Right. And it's just kind of like you see it on the shelf and like the layman is on the shelf and they're like, wow, look at that. Or like the wife is shopping for the husband. Like, what do you like to drink, honey? I don't really know. It's hard to pick out some stuff. Easy drinking beer. That sounds great.
This could easily be like, as we've said for forever, like, what do you want to drink if you're on TV or in a movie?
Mm-hmm.
They'll have beer.
I'll take a beer. Yeah, and then they're just like, oh, great, I've got Founders Easy Drinking Beer here. It's exactly what you're looking for. Yeah. Or like, and actually the can is almost designed to look like the fake beers that they have on TV shows, where it's, like you look at the beer that they've got and you're like, what is Hammond's? I've never heard of Hammond's beer before. Like it looks like a macro American beer, but I don't know what that is.
Is that a Schlitz? I haven't seen that years.
Exactly. So it's like, like you said, they're almost trying to make it as so generic as possible in this case. It is really effectively their standard lager style. Literally the tagline too is great beer for thirsty people. The marketing, the marketing part of Founders was just like on autopilot that day. Just,
or Grok maybe spat it out.
It writes itself. Okay, so just don't worry about it too much. You picked it out though, so I'll let you go first. What do you think about easy drinking beer?
So, I mean, if you're a long-lived listener on the podcast, Founders is a brewery that we've had on the podcast a billion times. Over the years, they've kind of become like a Sam Adams, like Saranac. The quality, as their popularity and market share has grown. It's drifted off, sadly. They're not bad, but it's, yeah. So they had a couple of new Founders at our store, and I was thinking about getting them. And they had their Shandy and this, and I decided to go with this because this is 5% compared to the Shandy's 3.5. But it's a golden ale. So that's also like in jest with the ABV. It's golden ale, and it's not like there's a lot of golden ales around. Like it's not just like they're solid gold, which I don't even think they make anymore. I'm not seeing on their website. So
I haven't seen it recently. No.
Yeah. So they thought, why not? The cans look corny, and the marketing for it looks completely corny. It looks like it's designed for people who are from like Illinois or Wisconsin, going to Lake Michigan for the, a summer vacation. You're like, oh, we're going to get these fucks with like this nice $22 for a 12-pack, But no, I was interested in trying because like, they're one of the brands that no matter how good or bad they'll ever get, I'll be invested in to try something new that they released just because like, hey, it's Founders. Mm-hmm. They've, it's been 15 years of me, buying their stuff. And it's actually, I like it a lot, actually. I think it is, a really good beer. Is it easy drinking? No, because it is a golden ale. It is heavier. It's got a much more pronounced body. It's got a nice, toasty breadiness to it. Not super, but like something that's more, more, pronounced than like if it was to say a lager. The body's a hell of a lot bigger on it. But it's still a nice, easy drinking beer, to have like, enjoy. Yeah. But like I said, I don't think you'd be pounding them, but like, because it has like a nice fillingness to it. But it's something like if it was like a late night and you're at the campgrounds and you're at the fire. Yeah, this would be something like that. Well, you'll have like one or two and feel, full and go about your business. Like I said, I like it. I might get a couple more times, but yeah, I was pleasantly surprised by this one.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty good. It's a solid beer all around. As I take a sip there. Yeah, I think it does have a little bit more of a body to it than your traditional lager style. Certainly has almost more of like a bitter hop bite to it at times too. That people might not be expecting. I remember even like back in the day when my mom was drinking beer and she'd have a Coors and she'd be like, "That's a little bit hoppy." Like it's for people like that, they're going to be a little bit surprised, like easy drinking.
this is kind of bitter.
God rest her soul.
That's funny when you hear people say that, too, not just your mom.
Right.
Because it's like, you should get a medal, for your taste buds. Like, you're drinking a Coors Light and you're being able, distinguished to hop on it? Holy shit, we got to...
Yeah, it was just funny. So, I do think that this one, again, for people who are seeing it, it says easy drinking. Might be a little bit of a, it's more of a lead-in beer kind of to some more complex, brews. But I think it's pretty good. I would definitely get this again. Again, the price range on it is a little bit scary. Because I think you can get some other beers at a better price range that would probably do a similar function for you. But with that said, I think it's pretty tasty. Founders, and again, too, let's just also gripe at the fact that Founders has been putting out less and less 15 packs. They were one of the originators of the 15 packs, and then all of a sudden they said, whoa, where's our margins on these?
I think again, because the Shandy's in a 15 pack, but again, it's 3.5%. I think if this was like that, 3.5%, then they probably would have threw it in a 15 pack. But
I do think that at a certain point, someone there was saying, whoa, we're losing a little bit too much on the 15 packs. Like, cut it down a little bit, especially for those ones that have a little bit more to them. We need to, step back.
Can't be having Oktoberfest flying out on the shelves in a 15 pack.
Exactly. Yeah. So, do want to gripe about that a little bit, but again, I think it's pretty tasty, and it's got a very eye-catching label to it that I think will probably make it very mass marketable for most people. So, and I'm sure it's coming your way. Like I said earlier, Founders has really expanded across the country. Basically, it's almost available anywhere. So, I'm sure you can find it.
I can't remember what the biggest. I don't even think they're technically the biggest brewery in Michigan.
No.
There's another craft brewery that's. I'm gonna have to check this out.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure, but I mean they are one of the biggest in that area. I don't know if they are the biggest, but they're definitely expanding quite a bit. And again, they're still trying to do some of those
Bell's. Sorry, Bell's is the biggest.
Bell's, yeah. They're still trying to do some of those more niche beers. Obviously like the Canadian breakfast stout and some of their other breakfast stout styles that they do, but. They've really expanded into the marketing across the country for more mass marketable beers. So, okay, let's get into Alien.
Alien.
This movie does not get a Ridley Scott's Alien, right? Just to point that out, it's not it's not prefaced by
it's it's funny, it doesn't, but John Carpenter took notes and. Transport them into the thing.
Right.
John Carpenter's the thing. But what I noticed the most on this rewatch of 15 years, holy hell, is this film so similar to 2001: A Space Odyssey.
It's the design and everything?
The design, the quietness, the quiet horror of space, and how it everything plays out. The only difference is instead of it being Kubrick clean and just a rogue AI, here it's turned into slightly darker, grittier, and a predator.
I would
a lot, but I'm not saying it's ripping it off. But I'm saying just watching it, it was and looking at how Ridley Scott's framing shots for in the interiors. It's wow. It's
you could definitely see the inspiration there, and to a certain extent too. We have to also note that at this time period, while 2001 did come out in 1968, it also is a very specific feeling for this movie that you just really can't replicate again.
No,
I don't think you cannot replicate the great feeling of these 1970s space set movies that had a very specific feeling and style to it. And I do agree with you. This film, Ridley Scott spends a lot of time at the beginning of this movie setting up the solitude of space, because for about probably the first 15 minutes or so, It's very quiet. It's very meandering through these, the hole and the hallways of the spaceship. The Nostromo. It's he's spending a lot of time in a very slow fashion, almost what you would consider to be now what they call like slow burn horror or like elevated horror to some extent, of just setting up this very specific feeling. What's that? What did you say there?
It's a Kubrick.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not only that though, too. Like again, like it's impressive to look at it because like all the setting and interiors is like this is literally the basis now of like all sci-fi going on out for like interiors for spaceships and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Every like horror or actions like sci-fi video game you've ever played, like from Halo on up, like you can look at like her Doom. Like, oh, there's the interior. You're like, yeah, that's the. Thank you, Ridley.
That's the alien interior, and not only just that though. Like even after Alien, right? So like Alien released in 1979. We're talking the heyday of the 1980s, when sci-fi and horror movies were really coming out in bulk. This was basically a landmark film for the way that you would put a viewer into a sort of like metallic, claustrophobic area, right? Because I'm not even just talking space, but there was a large number of films that came out that were set underwater too. So in an underwater, submarine or underwater like a base, and it had a very similar feeling. So like you can they almost replicated this. Like a good example of that would be Deep Star 6, which is another great movie. One we'll have to do at some point. I love that movie. But again, it is effectively an Alien copycat in the fact that they were like, let's do Alien. Get the guy on the phone who did the Alien settings, who did all of the spaceship stuff. We want that guy. And we want you to just turn that into an underwater area, and then that was basically Deep Star 6. And
you mean C-Lab 2029?
Yeah, but like it has a very specific feel. And like I said, I said 70s, but even into the 80s, you just really can't replicate this anymore. No matter how hard you try, I really don't think it's very easy to, try to do this now. Especially digitally, of just, let's get a very specific alien setting. It just feels very specific, feels very claustrophobic, and even like the switches that you think of, right? Like all the switches that they have that are like those like little pin switches that they flick on and off, up and down and stuff like that. It's just stuff that you kind of take for granted now when you watch a movie set in space, and it's all very
not only that though, it's fun too to think like how analog everything is. Like, it's like they're in space. This is the future.
Yeah, it's like 20.
They got deep sleep, deep sleep, but it's like, oh, everything's so fucking analog. They had like, oh, yeah, you got to go monkey around with the computer. Okay, like so, like there is like. And that's like, again, like something too, like we were talking about the James Cameron thing. Like, again, be proud of like people already appreciate if there was to ever be if John Carpenter was like, I want to revisit the thing and, digitalize it. It's like, again, like appreciate the hard work and like that you had to do to get that fucking done. Because the line between it being impressive and shit is a very easy line to, cross when it comes to practical effects. So if you're very successful and people are able to have such like a fondness to that and a memory and enjoyment of it, be proud of that. And Alien's up there. Alien, like, for like just atmosphere alone, is up there as a film for being incredibly atmospheric.
Yeah. I agree. Like the first 15 minutes of this movie is very great because, again, like I said, Ridley Scott is taking a lot of time, and in most scenarios you would be like, why the fuck are they taking so much time? Like, going going through the ships and the hull and just like slow tracking shots. But in this case, it sets a very specific feeling of dread that you can't really, like, it's hard to replicate. It's hard to get that feeling across. I'm sure there are a lot of directors who have set out to do a similar function, right? Like, it's like, all right, I'm going to capture the same Ridley Scott dread that Alien has. And then, it just falls flat for whatever reason. It's just hard to do. In this particular scenario, I think it's very difficult to match the first, like I said, 15 minutes where people haven't even woken up on the ship yet. And the dread comes from the fact that we spent so long in this very solitude place of space, because there's a lot of connotations to that too, right? Like as a viewer, we know the film is titled Alien, right? So like there's no surprise there. There will be an alien. And then, so there's an expectation, and the viewer is kind of already expecting it to be somewhat scary, because when you think about a place like space, that's very much unknown, especially in the 70s, it was even more unknown. It's very sinister already. You've already got that aesthetic to it. And then to set it in such a, silent element is very, it just feels very evil. And then not only that, but the way that he wakes up the crew, and the crew has like no idea what's going on, is I think even better. Because now when they wake up and they're like, wait a second, where are we? We're supposed to be back to Earth, and we're like not even halfway there. Like, what happened? Now you've set that in motion of like, holy shit, what's going on? Like now there's that, there's even more of a sinister feeling going on. I think it's an expert way to set, create that ambience in the movie.
Not only that though, too, they and we'll get into, I don't want to get into it like right now, but they explore that in a way that later on that, like, I don't know if it's like just happenstance or it ends up being genius for like what like you could do with the canon down the road, because it's so like, well, there's either like a throwaway or it's to add a little bit of depth, but it also at the same time, just like built so much out of it.
Yeah.
It's and again too, the whole like with the mother computer again is very 2001 HAL inspired. And I do love that too, of like it's the 1970s, so it's the computer screen, there's no desktop or anything. You're just like, what's going on, mother? Not enough data. How do we win, mother? Not enough data.
Yeah, you just talk to it. Yeah, it's great. I think that, again, there's something that can be said for both ways, right? Like, so contemporary viewers might watch this and be like, oh, that's so ridiculous, right? Like the mother room where they have to go into, and it's like just filled with little sparkly lights, and you might look at that and you'd be like, that's stupid, right? Like, who would design a one specific room like that has like little twinkly lights all over it for serving no purpose besides it being like, supposed to be looking technical. And at the same time, I really appreciate it. I think it's like a very cool visualization. And even like like you said, the analog buttons that they have that look like, the cashier buttons on it that they used to have in like old supermarkets, that had the colored keyboard things, or like an 8-track player that you would have to like press the button on. That they have.
Ticker tape is coming out of it.
Yes. I mean, again, like those are aesthetics that nowadays people are trying to replicate. Like, I'm thinking of it from like the death metal perspective, but like old school 70s sci-fi, especially like novel covers and things are back, right? Death metal is using those as inspiration for their own offshoots of like Lovecraftian sort of alien space tech. And I love it. I think that it is a really cool aesthetic that is very specific to the time frame. And Alien is a huge originator of that. And again, of Giger, H.R. Giger being a big part of the design of the xenomorph is also a huge factor in this. His dark art is very specific to this time frame too. So, that also can't be, pushed aside. There's a lot from Giger's artwork that makes its way and creeps into Alien, which is very cool. So with that said, like, again, I think that the idea of this, that it's very, it's set, the Alien is set in a very specific small bubble, right? We only have a small crew. It's like a crew of what is it? 7 people, I think, or 7 or 8 people. I didn't stop to count. But, it's a very small crew. There's the claustrophobia of being set in there, and all of the crew kind of waking up disoriented, not sure what they're doing, and then eventually hearing this SOS call that's coming from an outside source that they have to track and find. All really effective. What do you think about how they set up the characters? You like all the characters that the film offers to you? Yeah,
no, it's great because, again, like, the vibe and feel, like, again, I feel like, Carpenter was taking notes with the thing, because it's like, it's, instead of it being in space on a spaceship, it's, in Antarctica. Because here, like, we get the, slow, pods opening them up, them waking up from stasis. And then once they're open from stasis, it becomes, they're all sitting there eating, bullshitting. And it's funny, too, because it's like, oh, is that where, like, I was thinking, like, somebody came up with, like, a plastic container idea to hold cereal. Like, they took notes, like, put the Lucky Charms in there. And they're just, passing around and having a good time. We get to hear just from that little banter that, it's a trade ship. They're coming back from, like, a mining expedition.
I also love that
they have dedicated roles, basically.
Yep.
So like, the so and so's like in maintenance, so and so's like the science officer. So, like, it's like really easy breezy, very digestible, and everyone is interesting.
Yeah, and I was gonna say, I really love that they seem to have like a surplus of bubblegum on the ship, because like Yaphet Kotto is like chomping away at bubblegum pretty much every single frame that he's in. It's great. It actually, the movie makes me want to have a few things. It makes me want to have bubblegum, and I also love
nothing's ever gonna beat Ed O'Neill and fucking Giants. I mean, Little Giants.
But I also love the fact that they have those like little hospital plastic coffee cups.
Mm-hmm.
Like those little, the specific type of coffee cup that's like, when you set it down, it's going to go like, clink, like a plasticky. I love it. I want one of those.
Not only that, though, too, one of the things I think we've mentioned before on the podcast, but I love too, because again, they're incredibly tiny. Like, they're meant for, like, in today's day and age, for who and for what. I love going, like, when you go to a coffee shop or your convenience store or whatever. If you're a fucking millennial and older, you're getting, like, the biggest fucker you can get for your coffee. You're getting, like, the 24-ounce. Yeah. Your boomers and Gen X are getting, like, the smallest one. And it's like, who's that for? Why are you getting a 12-ounce coffee?
Yes.
What are you doing? Like, what are you doing that for? You're not at home. You don't have to, like, you can get your, So I do always love that, like, for the, and in my head, too, they don't say it. There's not, like, a thing, but in my head, like, these poor bastards, they're waking up out of stasis and they're, like, celebrating, thinking they're about almost at Earth, and they're pouring fucking Maxwell House into their, like, yes, because even Yaphet Kotto was like, the coffee's the best part of this shit right now. The rest of this food sucks, and
yes.
He's like, he'll be all pouring it away, and
and you know what too, the opening is very relatable, and that the guys working maintenance, doing the hard part of making sure the ship works, are like, what, we're not getting fucking paid. We're not getting paid enough here. Guys, what are you guys doing? You're just like sitting around, giving direction to where we're heading. And we are keeping the ship. And let's talk about how, what it seems like is the ship itself is such a like rickety shit bag, because they go to land on one fucking planet and they blow like 4 engines and it's down for 24 hours. It's
I say, like, all they need is a fucking more Camel and, New Hope. Like, when he sees, the Millennium Falcon for the first time.
Yeah.
Like, what a piece of junk!
It's right.
You know?
It's like, man, these guys landed on one but again,
again, too, like, as I was saying earlier, like, this is, like, one of the brilliant, and I don't know if it was just, like, excuse me, but, like a brilliant, like, a little, like, if it was a planned detail, or if it was just there to kind of, pad out the story. But again, like, the whole idea of, like, why do we have to answer that SOS? Well, it's in your contracts, and they were talking about getting paid in their bonus. It's like, if you want to get paid, you have to answer that SOS. It's law,
Right.
The corporation wants you to do that. Oh, okay. And, like,
I love it. Yes.
It's like just a throwaway detail.
Yes.
And it ends up being such a big part of the film.
Not just the film, but like the entire franchise as a whole, from throughout the whole thing, because this film does not really, the script from Dan O'Bannon does not actually go into much detail. Like you said, they're more like throwaway lines, like, yeah, the company says you got to do this. And then later on in the movie, obviously, it becomes known that this was planned all along. This was a directive for the ship. But later in the franchise, as it continues, the corporation aspect of this becomes a huge deal, right? Like that it's not just they didn't just like stumble on this alien and like, oh shit. We found an alien. God damn it! That it was dangerous. Right? It was like intentional, and it's
not only that.
For money.
I was gonna say, it's like, how many times did they have to send a fucking fleet out there to die? And it's like, all right, try 7.
Right. but that becomes a franchise, even up to the new show that was just came out from Noah Hawley, Alien Earth. Where they really capitalize on this idea of like feuding corporations who are like only interested. Doesn't matter what happens, they're interested in monetizing the aliens that they find, not just the xenomorphs, but all the alien entities that they find outside of in space. It becomes a running, almost anti-capitalist through line of the franchise of like, these corporations do not give a shit about who they send out into space as long as you come back with the organism. So Dan O'Bannon was right on with this, and let's also just reference the fact that Dan O'Bannon was absolutely in his prime here in the late 70s, early 80s, directing The Return of the Living Dead, or writing The Return of the Living Dead. He worked on Carpenter's first film, Dark Star. Which again, like you said, the Thing is obviously taking a lot of inspiration from Alien. And certainly the Dark Star was a very early precursor even to Alien. Dan O'Bannon was right on here and had a lot of great ideas, a lot of pointed remarks about capitalism and society, and I think Alien expresses that in very internalized ways.
Yeah, it's internalized. It's very small, but it's very nuanced. And like, I'm sound like a fucking jerk off, but it is like, it's small, and if you don't think about it, like, you can walk away. But again, even with it being stupid, like, ties everything together at the end. I think, whether intentional or not, it's smart because, like, it gives people such latitude to run with the franchise down the line if they want to. And it's just like, again, it's vague enough to where you can insert whatever down the line. And I think as a plot point, it works incredibly well. It as that develops out throughout the entire film, because there's more than just that as a plot point and twist.
Yeah, it's a lot to work with for a movie that really does not have all that much dialogue, and a lot of the dialogue is actually related to the work that they're doing, right? So, like, landing, all the directions that they're doing, going out on the planet. it's really a testament to the screenwriting that they do get those elements in, because you could really look at the script and just kind of be like, oh wow, it's like, it's not really too populated with much information. It all comes across, and again, this movie is almost 2 hours long, but it's all really necessary. There's not like a moment where you think, wow, this movie's running a little bit too long here. I think that they should have cut this down. It's all very important. Whereas, and again, too, it is a testament to the movie that it's only 2 hours, right? Like, you think about a movie that would release today, this movie would probably be bridging 2 hours and 45 minutes, because they would have to stuff it with all kinds of external elements to it. And this movie is very lean. It doesn't have a whole lot going on like that, but it still manages to get across a very particular point, a very particular feel. It's really effective. I think we haven't even talked about the horror element to it, but besides the ambience of the opening, but I think that it really comes across in a lot of ways very effective. Let's talk about that. What do you think about all of the horror elements that happen? We talked about the ambience of the first part, but what do you think about like going out on the the frozen planet, or the asteroid, as they go into the mining colony, the giant alien that they see like sitting in a chair, all that kind of stuff? What do you think?
Works really well. Again, especially with like the analog technology, that works really well as an idea of like they're landing on this inhospitable planet. They give some technobabble bullshit on what it's like with like methane and a little bit of this and a little bit
Yeah.
but yeah, I guess you guys can maybe go down there and take a look, whatever. So and again with like clear, the clearly analog technology of like how everything is. Like, of course, it'd be like as soon as they're down there, there's interference. The matte paintings to like show them like go on the planet, what that ship looks like and stuff. Very good, and the tension inside. It's like a good 15 minutes of them like slow building up to them finding a dead alien. And then the eggs of the xenomorphs. So, works really well. Again, just like 2001, like Ridley Scott does a great job of like just building tension up and keeping everything like right on your tippy toes. Again, because also too, the soundtrack is very muted. Jerry Goldsmith isn't coming in like, so like it's very, meticulous and methodical in building up that tension to a swell.
There's some great moments of him building and just, very ambient sound that all of a sudden hits you with a very like swelled violin note that just like really slams it. And it's great. It's, it's one of those moments where, you don't need to rely on the music score to get your, the mood across, but when you do, that's really where it hits. I think that's, they're great stings. It's a really nuanced score that works great for it. But yeah, I love when they go onto the asteroid. I think it's a really cool moment, and again too, we have to mention the fact that all of the like model props that they have too of the spaceships, it's shot in a really great way. Like Ridley Scott is very careful to showcase that these feel very like it feels very mass like, right? Like it doesn't feel like it's a model. It doesn't look like a model per se. They feel heavy. It feels weighty when you see the ship kind of like trying to land. All of those model shots are really great. I think that it's really a testament to very careful filming and direction and editing of the shots that they wanted to get and showcase. The same is true later on of when they actually show the xenomorph. There's a very, very careful selection of shots of showing the xenomorph. Again, like the xenomorph is designed in a specific way that it is very black, and the film is very dark, and the darkness and the shadow of the ship itself lends itself to the xenomorph being so dark and black that you can barely make out the outlines of the xenomorph. And so there's a lot of shots in this movie where you're kind of almost squinting, be like, what is that in the darkness? And it's sort of the same feeling that you would imagine somebody being on the ship doing when they're like, what is that in the corner? Like I just can barely make out something that's there that shouldn't be there. I think that's again, great direction in shot editing for that. But I love going on to the asteroid, and that visualization of the alien that's sitting in the chair is sort of massive. And again, this is not a xenomorph, right? It's a different alien. It's a different race.
It's like an ancient alien. It's huge because they're like the chair that it's sitting in, like it's like a gunner's chair.
Yeah,
it's huge. So it's like
it has scope, it has scale, and that sets up a lot for the franchise. Like the franchise will run with that. That's it's not Alien is not just the xenomorphs. There's more to it. There's more races of alien that the xenomorphs have impacted. And again, too, it also reminds me of the best of like Lovecraftian horror too. The sort of a cosmic horror of like, these are much bigger entities than we're used to. Like we're small little humans in the scope of space. And there are these giant alien beings that we don't have any idea about that are living out here in the further reaches of space. It's really a cool dynamic that incorporates Lovecraftian horror into the mix, whether you want to attribute to it or not. I'm sure that it has to be some sort of inspiration for Dan O'Bannon in that it is very Lovecraftian or, elder gods like in the way that they present the giant alien. I think it's a very cool idea. Again, it also reminds a lot of At the Mountains of Madness, the Lovecraftian novel that he wrote.
You mean Into the Mouth of Madness, written by Sutter Kane?
Yes, by Sutter Kane. Yeah, it's very, very cool ideas. I love that approach to it. And again, too, this movie does not venture very far from the ship. So that really like interlude of them getting off the ship and going onto the asteroid is a nice little touch to it that, kind of gets you out of that claustrophobic element and then puts you in the fucking, blizzard here that you're going out into. So
if you were told to go out into that, would you? Like, hey, we gotta go explore this giant.
I don't know. I do
this
like
giant fleshlight ship.
Yeah, because that's like Dallas is like Lambert, you're going out too, and she's like, oh, fucking great, Again, Lambert is kind of like a Barbara type character, except I think that they've written her a little bit better.
You know what? Yeah, no, she is, because she becomes catatonic for the second half.
Right? Yeah, like she kind of gets that, but I can understand it a little bit better. Like I do feel like she's. Especially how Veronica Cartwright plays her is better than Barbara in the fact that, like, okay, it kind of makes sense. Like, you would be catatonic after seeing the giganticness of like a xenomorph standing in front of you, but at the same time, like, she's still able to operate, right? Like, whereas Barbara is just like completely useless in Night of the Living Dead. So, yeah.
Also, too, let's not forget. If they just fucking listened to Sigourney Weaver, none of this would have happened.
It's very true. Sigourney Weaver is right about on all counts. So, like especially when they bring back what's his name, Kane, I think it is, who's coming back with the alien attached to him, and she's like, "No, you guys are staying out there. you need to quarantine out there because we can't let that in and risk the rest of the ship." What do you think about that? Would you do the same? Would you have would be right there with her?
Yeah, no, I would definitely be like
you would make the same decision.
It's like funny to think about too, because it's like we know why Ash does what he does, but still, it's just like open it. Like, and also, too, it's like 2001. Like, open the door, Hal. No, I can't do that. And it's like, yeah, one of our crew guys has a fucking giant vagina bug, slapped on his face. Yeah, you guys are gonna have to wait in quarantine until the thing fucking maybe dies. We can't do that. Like, it's just like,
I do love it because like it's almost ridiculous, but at the same time, I guess you can understand from Dallas's perspective. He's like, he's got to protect the all of his crew, and so he wants to bring Kane in. But like, yeah, at the same time, you're like, that's shocking.
I would have been I would have been leaving them there, man.
I do,
be like, I'm already halfway there. You guys, like, have fun on the fucking asteroid. We're gone. Like,
I feel like Yaphet Kotto is the most relatable character because he's the person like that's speaking what the
voice of reason.
Yeah, what the audience is thinking. He's like, what the fuck is that? Like, like, can that guy breathe? Because he's fucking on his face there. He's the one that's always speaking what the audience is thinking. He's great. I love it.
Poor man stuck down in the boiler rooms of the ship, and he's like popping up like, the fuck did you do now? Like,
Yaphet Kotto is loved when there's a fucking anti-fascist hardcore screamo band named after him. Okay, shout out to the actual screamo band Yaphet Kotto. But yeah,
you've been waiting 10 years on the podcast.
That's right. Yeah, been waiting to get that in there. We had to do a Charles Bronson episode so I could get Charles Bronson, the Power Violence band in, and now I got Yaphet Kotto in. So, yeah.
Which is something I totally forgot. I totally forgot Yaphet Kotto was in the film. So seeing him was like, oh,
there he is.
Let's go. Like, my king. But again, like, I do like the science part too of them like trying to figure out like, the face hugger, what's going on, and like, and again, you can kind of tell with Ash, who let them back in against quarantine, that, yeah, he's a prick, and to what we find out later on, like, it makes sense because he is incredibly like stoic.
Yes.
And
at first you think he's just like an autistic doctor.
Well, you wouldn't back then. Back in the 70s, you'd be like, this guy's a fucking piece of shit.
He's a weirdo. Yeah.
Let's talk about trains a lot, but
yes, yeah.
but he is like, very stoic, and it's great when he was like him and Dallas are trying to get the fucking the face hugger off. He's like, I'm gonna cut this digital now. Make an incision in the digital. Dallas is like, what the fuck are you talking about? She's like, an incision on the finger.
The finger. It's a finger.
Which, no wonder why, too, Dallas doesn't know what the hell is going on. He's the one who runs the ship. He's fucking Kenny Rogers, like from Mad TV. He looks like Kenny Rogers in Mad TV. Like, oh, Kenny Rogers, this is Jackass. Like, oh, shit, they kicked me in the balls. Like, he just, like, he just looks like he's totally lost, and,
Yeah. Yeah, he does. I mean, I think that's, it's partly the point of, like, he's out of his element there. But, yeah, Tom Skerritt, he definitely does.
Do they ever, like, because it is a really good scene when, like when they're like, we gotta get out of here. And he's like, Ash goes, well, we need to study and go back to find, like, more of these, things. And then, Sigourney Weaver, Ridley tracks, Dallas down, and he's like, she goes to him like, what the fuck are you doing? We need to get the hell out of here. He's like, well, the science officer said we gotta go, so we gotta go. And she, says like, this is your ship. The fuck are you talking about? If you want us to go, we go. And he's like, if the company says the science officer, says that, then we gotta do that or whatever. Do you think like he was in on the thing or no?
I don't think so. I think the film kind of makes it, seem like he's really, he's the captain, but he's really just following orders from whatever Mother says. It's just whatever they say goes, and he's kind of, it's almost like, the military where they've been preconditioned of like, you just listen to whatever they say as orders. Whatever they say is what we do, and I think too, there's that kind of there's the fear of reprisal after you get off the ship, right? You get home, you're safe from space, but you get home and then, the corporation says, whoa, we saw what you did there. Like Mother's been tracking all and she knows what you did. And we have, audio evidence of what you did. So I think he's probably just, following orders, basically, a grunt following orders as captain of the ship. And again, it's kind of an interesting dynamic that I think gets played out further in the later franchise, but here it's just sort of hinted at of like, there are people who listen to authority and there are people like Ripley who's like, I don't care what the corporation says, like this is what I would do. And I think that, again, too, that's kind of another standpoint and viewpoint into the audience too. Like, where do you stand? Like, does the view from the audience sit with Ripley? Do they understand Ripley's ultimate decisions, and especially her decision to blow up the Nostromo instead of trying to capture the xenomorph? I mean, at a certain point, I guess you get to a point where you're like, I'm not fucking capturing that shit.
I would rather go home and get sodomized by tent poles.
Yes,
by the company. Like, if it meant I know. You cut I know it's with the face hugger, but they cut it open and it's fucking acid bleeding down through the ship hole. They could have careened out into a black hole. So it's but I would have.
It's a great point too, because it goes through 3 holes, right? The acid is not just it goes through one floor and then they Ridley Scott specifically shows them going nope, still going down, and then they go down 3 floors to find where it eventually stops. So it just kind of sets up that very dangerous element to the alien. And I think that's really, it's really cool how they do develop that. And I think to a certain extent, yeah, you're right. Who's going to try to capture the xenomorph at a certain point? You're just okay, superior being, as Ash says later on. It's look at its survivability. I mean, just do what you can to fucking get rid of it.
Well, also too, that also makes it why it's so great. It's why is it paired up with the Predator franchise? Well, there you go. The Predator likes to hunt apex, so there you go. But it is great. And again, the tension and it's, again, I hate to compare it, but it's with Carpenter's The Thing, they do the little science, and instead of Wilford Brimley this time, it's, it's Ash, and they, find Kane, by himself, and the face hugger gone, and they try finding him, and they find it dead, and they study it some more, and then eventually Kane's up. It's a miracle. God be praised. He's blue in the face, but everyone's hey, welcome back, bud. You're fine. Even though too, when they're doing the X-ray MRI scan, the fucking thing's down his throat, and they're hey, you just need to have some fucking cat crunch, bud. Let's go.
Yeah.
And then he said, I don't even know what the hell he's eating. He's eating some kind of salad or vegetables that he keeps shoving in, and all of a sudden, you get the really great chest burster screen, scene. Which also is great, too, because when the blood splatters out, it literally just goes on to fucking Veronica Cartwright. It barely touches anybody else. It just all hits her. It's just
yeah. It's great. So. The chest burster scene is great. I think it's, it's one of those things within the 70s. They were doing practical effects very well. It bursts out. And again too now, it might be a little comedic, especially how the Alien franchise has kind of been parodied in the past, and now you see the the baby xenomorph, and you kind of oh, it's a little cute because the way it spins around, and then it runs off. But
it looks like a little action figure.
Yeah. I still think it's very effective. All of the special effects are really effective. Even, again, the xenomorph elements to it, like I said, they really couch them in shadow for the most part. But when you do get to see it, it's very surprising. Especially the one scene that you get when The xenomorph, you can just see Sigourney Weaver thinks she's gotten off the ship. She's like, all right, I fucking blew you up, you bitch. And she's on the shuttle. And then all of a sudden she just sees like this blackness in the corner and knows that it's the xenomorph is there. And again, you could just see the outline of it crouching in the corner. And it's great. It's like just that again is really a testament to the editing team and the direction to say, all right, we understand like the xenomorph as a whole, the whole costume of the guy is great, looks great, well designed, but
also not shown a lot, which I think again, less is more. So I think that definitely works in the film's favor.
Exactly. Like they recognize like while the costume looks great, very effective, you show it too much, you show it in bright lighting, it's still probably going to look like a guy in a costume. So you don't want to do that, and you want to show it in more of like a bestial way. And so that's how they do it. They couch it in shadow, not a lot of good lighting on purpose, and then you just get like these very specific shots of like the mouth opening up and the second mouth coming out, sliding out, or you just see it like just being its own alien, right? Like the alien is, sometimes they just show it in shots of like, I'm just an alien living, right? Like this is just what I do. Sometimes my mouth comes out, like I like that a lot too. It's just like, this is just, it's almost like a nature documentary. This is just what the alien does sometimes. I don't know. He's fucking weird sometimes, I like that. I think it's really effective. I think that they did a great job showcasing it, and it definitely makes sense that it would be an inspiration for a lot of films later on that weren't maybe able to match the horror of Alien, but we're able to get to the heart of like what makes Alien so scary sometimes. Because I do think it's really effective and it has a specific sense of dread that you don't get very often. What else? What else did we talk about?
So let's talk about the twist with Ash.
Ash being an android or a cyborg, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, I mean, they're kind of doing a little
comes out of left field, but it also at the same time damn that, like, because it's right after everyone's basically dead except Ripley and Yaphet Kotto.
Yep.
And she's the one that's looking at the computer, and finds out that, plan the entire time has been, they're going to go out, they're going to, be woken up to find the signal, get the goddamn alien back, and that we don't care if everyone dies. Just get it back. Because the corporation wants to turn them into some, military thing.
Yeah, and I think like they have prefaced this by showing him chugging glasses of milk, and so like this guy's not right. Right? Like,
who's chugging glasses of milk?
Unless you've got a sleeve of Oreos over there, like
not even.
No one is chugging a glass of milk, so something's up with
it was actually heavy cream. That's why they knew it wasn't a person.
Or maybe like a white Russian, like he's got a drinking problem and he's got the only stash over there.
I do hate the fact that when they fight and they cut him open, he's got like the white,
He's like, yeah, he's a milky.
I'm not saying this is like bad, but it is just funny. But I mean, that is a great twist because again, especially if you think about it, 1979, who's gonna be like, holy shit, this guy's a fucking cyborg,
right? Right. Yeah, it's like kind of something you would definitely not expect.
Fucking out of left field, especially for the time. It's like, goddamn, like again. The writing is so intentional and nuanced, but at the same time, it's like leaving so much for like down the line people for things like people to grasp onto and run with the franchise. It's like just so stupidly smart. Like it's like, okay, that makes sense. Why he was such a stoic bastard the entire time,
right?
So
yeah, I think it is great. It's a nice twist. Like you said, it's not something that in that time period you would really see coming. Like there's no real indication of it. It's a nice little unexpected thing that happens. And I think even more shocking is when they show him like all, cut apart, like the head on the desk, like all of his body is sort of like pushed aside, and he's like just a mess of like, after a porn shoot. It's like,
it's bukkake.
Yeah, it's just
which is also, it is, I was saying, that is a great setup too, because you get to see the practical effects, and then as soon as they start questioning him, you can totally tell that it's been like switched, and he's got his like head sticking out of like a table.
Yep.
But it works incredibly well, and it's great because it gives you that detail, like where Ash tells you, like, you've been sent on a death mission. We knew about the xenomorph. It's a perfect entity, a perfect being, and we want to turn it into a weapon. So it's just works. Like I said, works really well. And it is a terrific twist. Yeah, I love it. I think it's like such a great and smart idea. I was expecting him to at the same time to be like tears falling down from rain, from Blade Runner. So
that's right. Yeah. I think it's really cool. It's one of those things that stands out about the movie. The chestburster scene is definitely one of them. Ash being a cyborg is another, and again, that's another thing that's really carried through for the franchise. Is like, cyborgs being very specifically part of the alien, characterization. I think too, we didn't talk about Sigourney Weaver's underwear choices.
Awful.
You wouldn't pick a 5-year-old's underwear to wear when you're trouncing around on a spaceship.
Listen, as I told you when we were talking about this before the podcast, who's having sex in the 70s? Because I know in the 70s, like, that was the style. Like, what the fuck? It's like you watch the film and you see Sigourney Weaver running around in her uni suit and that shitty mullet with the way they have it, like Farrah Fawcett did throughout the film. But as the film goes on, it's wet and it's actually like, ooh, like, what's going on? And then for her to be, like, oh, here's me, I'm getting down into my panties. And it's like, put something on.
I think
doesn't even cover your ass.
It's really interesting choice. Again, like, I'm not really sure where this comes from. The film is very desexed, right? Like,
I don't think it's supposed to sexualize her, because again, that's the funny thing though too. Because when it comes to the men, and when in the opening they're showing their state, like, coming out of stasis, their underwear is like ridiculous. It's like this fucking like toka cloth,
bulky, boxer.
Like incredibly bulky pant, like, like you're gonna shit your pants. You need to have, like, diaper. And again, like, I understand like what Sigourney's wearing as of like the time, but at the same time, it's like just fucking stupid. Like, it just looks so stupid. Like, right before she's about to whoop the alien's ass, and she's about to go into stasis, like, oh, by the way, here's like my fucking loincloth panties that I'm wearing that are like hooked around my knees, because that's, the style of the day. As Abe Simpson would say, well, those are the times, It's so, yeah, I mean, I do appreciate that scene though, because again, the whole tension where she, sneaks off into the closet, gets into the spacesuit, really smart, works really, really well, and just a great idea.
Yeah, it really is, and like, I like that whole, like, kind of the silent thing of sneaking into the spacesuit, and then getting prepared by hitting the button to start the airlock opening. It's great, and like, you see the alien sort of like putting two and two together. It's a nice little, like, it's a like the Jurassic Park clever girl,
Yeah, there are scenes with the shadows and stuff that Spielberg totally aped.
Right.
for for Jurassic Park, because I was thinking the same thing too. Yeah.
Yeah.
What about What about Jonesy the cat?
Jonesy's so cute, and Jonesy survives for quite a while. I think it's Alien 3 that Jonesy actually bites the bullet, but what are you gonna do? Cat's a cat, I think Jonesy is a cute little guy though, and I like that whole scene where they're trying to track down the little face hugger, it's actually the xenomorph, like the baby xenomorph at that point, and they're trying to track it down by like the air mass or whatever is doing that thing, and they eventually track something, and it ends up being a cat, just like in any horror trope that's occurred now throughout the history of horror. It ends up being a cat at the end in a closet, and I think that's a really great part of it too. All right, so we got to give this film a rating. So on a scale of a 0 to 10, Yaphet Kotto, bubblegum chomping, what would you give Alien?
I'll give it an 8.5 out of 10. I'm glad we revisited this film. I'm glad to, have a new perspective on it. Because again, it's been a long time and I've probably only seen it 1.5 times. It's an incredibly impressive film. The way Ridley Scott builds tension, the, presentation, and the slow, methodical build to the horror itself is incredibly well done, incredibly claustrophobic. It's a, great turning on to a different side, 2001: Space Odyssey. I appreciated it a lot, and again, as somebody who's not incredibly familiar with the Alien franchise, it was a great to, sit down, watch it for like the first time forever with like fresh eyes. So 8.5 out of 10. I liked it a lot. Would love to, check out more and getting more involved in the franchise and see what's going on, because it's got a lot to offer, it seems like.
Yeah, I would agree. I think I would give it about an 8.5 out of 10 as well. I think Alien is a really good movie. It's it hits a lot of points, things that I love, including atmosphere, just the ambientness. I love like crazy things that people wouldn't think about too, like how the hull sounds, like how it sounds when they like walk across the hull. Love it. Love like that sound effect. I love how they incorporate a lot of darkness and shadow into it, sort of like a lot of the like the rain elements that you wouldn't think of too in like a ship, but they have them. Everything about the movie is really well done. I think this is one of Ridley Scott's best movies for sure. In terms of just how it's portrayed, how much inspiration it has given to other films. The horror elements at play here work really well, and I think are better designed than what we get from Aliens as an more of an action movie. Overall, it's just a really, really interesting movie that conjures a lot of dread. It just has a very specific atmosphere and a specific aesthetic that really can't be repeated, even though many, many films have tried to do so. So it's just really great. It still holds a lot of esteem here, even almost 50 years later. Almost 50 years later. That's crazy.
I know.
But it's still holds up to this day as it being a very, very solid movie. All right. Hopefully everybody has a very nice 4/26 day. Alien Day.
Like that.
You know what's next, right?
Difficult films.
You know what's next? Alien 3 we have to do at some point. Yeah. Also, yeah, for difficult film. But no, I meant for the next Alien Day, we have to do Alien 3. All right. Well, we'll be back for Difficult Films Month, which is starting next time
week.
For the month of May. That should be fun. Yeah. So it should be fun. We got some good ideas to throw at you for that. And until next time.
Take care.